This is a pretty ghastly and useless Labour government, but if you want evidence of Labour's fundamental flatulence and its emetic mixture of finger-wagging humbug and wokery, then I commend to you Keir Starmer's recent pronouncement that every classroom in the land has to watch a TV drama about alleged teenage male misogyny called Adolescence.
In what critics are calling a Netflix first policy agenda, Labour leader Keir Starmer's latest education proposal has stirred controversy across the political spectrum. The initiative, mandating secondary school classrooms across the UK to screen a TV drama that explores teenage male misogyny.
Everyone is talking about Adolescence, the series by Knowsley's own Stephen Graham and Christine Tamarco. It highlights online male radicalisation and violence against girls. The creators of the show are calling for screenings in Parliament and schools to spark change. So will the Prime Minister back this campaign to counter toxic misogyny early and give young men the role models they deserve?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
Yes, and at home we are watching Adolescence with our children. I've got a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl, and it's a very, very good documentary to watch, or drama. This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent, and we have to tackle it. We are putting in specialist rape and sexual offences teams in every police force doing work on the 999 calls, but this is also a matter of culture that I think it's important that across the whole House we tackle this emerging and growing problem.
At face value, tackling misogyny in schools is an issue with undeniable importance. Yet, the manner in which Starmer's Labour has chosen to address it, through what amounts to compulsory entertainment viewing, raises serious questions about governmental priorities at a time when Britain's classrooms are struggling with far more fundamental issues. Boris Johnson, the walking embodiment of chaotic charisma, has come storming out of political semi-retirement, again to attack Keir Starmer over Labour's latest educational policy, a mandate that schools should screen a drama about teenage male misogyny, because, apparently in the middle of an ANAT's implosion, soaring grocery bills, and a housing market stitched together with hope and duct tape, this is where the fight for Britain's soul now lies. The show in question, a gritty coming-of-age series dramatizing the toxic behaviors of teenage boys, has sparked debate since its release. Starmer's decision to anchor part of his education strategy around it reflects what some MIMPs have labeled a symbol-over-substance approach. It's performative politics, one senior Conservative source told us. While Labour fixates on TV programming, teachers are walking out, pupils are falling behind in math and reading, and mental health support is collapsing in schools. What they need is investment in teachers, not a state-mandated watch party. Indeed, data from Ofsted and the Department for Education reveals a bleak picture. Teacher retention is at its lowest in a decade. 1 in 5 children is leaving primary school without the expected literacy level. Against that backdrop, Labour's classroom drama initiative feels tone-deaf. Starmer, known for his measured tone and cautious centrism, is now being accused of drifting into culture war territory, not from the right, but from his own backyard. Some Labour backbenchers have privately expressed unease at the focus on optics over outcomes. In policy terms, there's been no announcement of additional funding to support the initiative, no teacher training package, no mental health services attached, and no explanation as to how this viewing requirement would fit into an already packed curriculum. Labour strategists may argue that tackling gendered behavior early is key to long-term social cohesion. And there's truth in that, but policy must be matched with pragmatism. Without a concrete plan to implement such initiatives, without real classroom resources, training and guidance, this amounts to little more than headline chasing.
How are you feeling?
Absolutely jubilant. I know a lot of people didn't believe this, but we had absolutely no indication of what was going to happen today. So when we turned up in there, we were shaking. This has been a really, really long road. We first took the Scottish Government to court over the Gender Representation on Public Boards Act in 2020, and I have to pay a huge tribute to my co-directors, Marion here, but especially Trina, who's up in Edinburgh, because she was the one who insisted that this was our way to clarify the law, and she kept pushing us and we kept fighting. And who would have thought that, 7 years ago, Marion set up for Women Scotland with Trina and Magdalene, who we wish could have been here to see this today. She would have been so delighted. And we were in a really difficult place in Scotland then. We thought we were going to see rights for women rolled back, and today the judges have said what we always believed to be the case, that women are protected by their biological sex, that sex is real, and that women can now feel safe that services and spaces designated for women are for women, and we are enormously grateful to the Supreme Court for this ruling.
In a landmark decision that has reignited the national debate over gender identity and legal definitions, the UK Supreme Court has ruled that the term woman in equality law refers explicitly to biological females, a judgment many are calling a pivotal moment for sex-based rights in Britain. The ruling, handed down this week, determined that for the purposes of legal protections under the Equality Act, the word woman is not a fluid concept, but a biologically grounded category. In doing so, the court rejected attempts to redefine sex to include gender identity, stating that while trans individuals are protected under law, those protections must not override the rights granted specifically to women as a biological class. Supporters of the judgment hailed it as a necessary reaffirmation of biological reality and a crucial step toward restoring clarity in public policy and legal interpretation. This is a victory for biology, for common sense, and for reality, said Maya Forstater, co-founder of the advocacy group Sex Matters, which campaigns for sex-based rights. Women have fought for decades to establish legal protections in spaces where biological sex matters: prisons, changing rooms, sports, and refugees. This ruling ensures that those hard-won rights are not erased by ideological overreach. Predictably, the ruling sparked intense backlash from trans rights activists and progressive political voices, who framed the decision as a setback for LGBTQ inclusion and a dangerous concession to what they describe as anti-trans rhetoric. Stonewall, the UK's most prominent LGBTQ advocacy group, issued a statement condemning the decision. This ruling reinforces a binary definition of womanhood that excludes and marginalizes trans women. It sends a chilling message that equality is conditional and that identity is subordinate to biology. We urge Parliament to urgently consider legislative reform. The Supreme Court's decision has drawn a line in the sand, but the wider battle over gender, rights, and public policy is far from over. Already, some MPs have suggested they will push for legislative reforms to expand the legal definition of sex to include gender identity, a move that would reopen the very question the court just resolved. For now, though, this ruling stands as a major turning point. It sends a clear message that in a country where law, science, and common sense increasingly collide, the courts may still be willing to champion clarity over ideology.